Hello friends, and welcome to Hallowmead. My name is Nina, I make mead, and today we are throwing it back to 1st century Rome.
And I'm John, also throwing it back.
Throwing it back Roman style. Today we are celebrating a bountiful autumn harvest of grapes and honey, and we're going to make mead with it, also known as a Pyment. You may remember my mead making video from last year where I made the same kind of mead. We are upping the recipe. And not only are we using grapes that we harvested ourselves, but we're also using honey from our own beehives. So we're looking to Rome and the mystery cult of Dionysus for a little inspiration today. Columella was an agricultural writer in the 1st century Rome, and in his 12 volumes, De Re Rustica, he leaves us with a Pyment recipe.
Mustum optium sic facias.
Here is how you make good mead. Much like Columella, we're also using 10 pounds of honey, and we're using 3.5 gallons of crushed Merlot grapes. I couldn't resist another grape stomp, so we poured all the Merlot grapes into a sanitized bin, and I stomped to my heart's content. Our initial gravity was 1.122, although last year it was 1.140. We are letting the wild yeast ferment this brew.
When are we gonna drink mead?
Oh, that Merlot. It tastes so good. It's so cloudy though. The mead tastes pretty good. It's at 9.7% and it's only been about 3 weeks. It's got a long way to go though. And I do believe last year Dionysus was on our side when I was making my Pyment. We entered it into the Mazer Cup. It was my first ever time entering a mead that I made, and the score was pretty good.
Hey! Salve Nina! I think it was the wild yeast on your feet.
Ionis! I can't wait to see where Dionysus takes it from here.
So, who's Dionysus? And why is he trying to take my mead?
Great question, John. Dionysus is the god of so many things. Ecstasy, grapes, wine, parties. Originally, only women were to be initiated into the Bacchic cults. But now everyone is welcome.
Is it Bacchus or is it Dionysus?
It's both Bacchus and Dionysus. It all depends on what part of the Mediterranean you are. And we have parties and we...
What's the catch?
Well, we are the Roman Senate's worst nightmare. It's true! It all began with the seer Orpheus, who introduced new mysteries to the cult of Dionysus. He brought the practice of Sparagnus, wherein devotees would rip an animal limb from limb to symbolize the dismemberment of Dionysus at the hands of the Titans. And then the Maenads, female priestesses, would work themselves into an intoxicated state, and when an animal was thrown into their circle, not only would they tear it limb from limb, they would devour the flesh raw. There are even horror stories that speak of not animals being thrown into these frenzied circles, but humans.
Oh. Good.
But that was Greece! This is Rome, and we just have orgies and equality and female leaders! Female leaders! You love it? Trying to party in the woods? It was the year 186, and the Roman Senate had tolerated the cult of Dionysus and the Bacchanalias for long enough. They saw it as subverting the native traditions and corrupting the morals of the people, as well as gaining political influence. This was a time of conservative Roman values.
Then what becomes of the precious prize Roman citizenship once was?
The cult was growing in popularity with every level of society, which threatened the power of the men of the Roman Senate.
Patriarchy.
Literally, the patriarchy.
Honorable fathers.
Let's talk about Livy. Livy was a historian chronicling 1st century Rome and writing about the Bacchanalias, and our story hinges on the testimony of a courtesan named Hispala. Hispala was once an initiate of the cult of Dionysus herself, and so she knew its secrets well. Her reasons for leaving are not clear, but one day one of her patrons came to her and told her that he was to be initiated into the cult of Bacchus. Apparently his mother and stepfather were trying to cheat him out of an inheritance by making him go through with the dubious Bacchic initiation. Luckily, he consulted with his prostitute first, like many Romans did. God, I love Roman history. He dissuaded him and told him about all the lurid rituals and illegal activities that went on in the cult. But Hispala feared the cult's vengeance for the betrayal of its secrets, and she was even more fearful for her young upper-class client. So they went to the Roman Senate, and in exchange for their safety, Hispala became chief witness to the investigation of the cult. This is some of what was recorded. The men were intermixed with women. There was nothing wicked, nothing flagitious that had not been practiced among them. This number was exceedingly great now, almost a second state in themselves, and among them were many men and women of noble families. The women, with their hair disheveled and carrying blazing torches, ran down to the Tiber, dipping their torches in the water. They drew them up again with the flame unextinguished. This information and more was presented to a shocked Roman Senate, and immediately the practice of the cult of Dionysus was declared a dire national emergency. Guards flooded the city. All Bacchic priests were to be brought into custody. Livy reports that 7,000 men and women were implicated, and most of them were executed. Hispala is either a traitor or a hero, depending on how you interpret Livy's writings. But, despite their suppression, clandestine bacchanalias were held all over Italy for many years to come. Whether that's good or bad, it's up to you. Well, that was fun. Thank you so much for watching.
And we'll see you next week. Be sure to tune in for another episode of Hallowmead. Definitely your feet.
The best toes in all of Rome.
It's as Roman as I get, honestly. Let's party.
I'm just a first century girl trying to navigate a modern world.